tonight. Thunder and steam. Rain down tonight. Thunder and steam.
Alana Newman is the founder of Brand Therapy and host of the Speaker Salon podcast, a creative strategist with a rich history in the music industry, documentary filmmaking, and think tank content production. Alana helps purpose-driven leaders build authentic, soul-aligned brands that heal, inspire, and create lasting impact. Through Brand Therapy, she guides speakers, authors, and entrepreneurs to craft identities that thrive online while serving humanity with integrity and depth. Welcome, Alana. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here.
Your CV is quite diverse, from recording artists with the same team as Lana Del Rey, to shaping the publications of a New York think tank, to a health freedom advocate. How have your experience influenced your approach to building personal brands today?
Well, everything that you do in life informs the other things you do. Of course, when I was in my early 20s and in my teens, I was very focused on music. That was the thing I wanted to do more than anything. I know you can relate to that. It's never going to go away, the love of music.
No.
But when I started to get professional with it, the team I was working with positioned me in a way that I didn't feel comfortable with. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of sexualization, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And I basically sabotaged my music career because I didn't know how to stand up for myself, or nobody had a process for me to work out how I really did want to present myself to the world. Like, what was a healthy way for me to frame everything. And I didn't feel safe being visible in such a sexualized way. And so I just sabotaged everything. And then I started working. I was in New York and I started working with some think tanks. And I went to art school, so I've always been good at Photoshop and things like that. And I'm a decent writer, so I got a job kind of working with this think tank. And there's lots of things that need to be written and lots of graphics that need to be produced and landing pages and radio interviews and media spots because they're promoting ideas. And so with music and with think tank publications, there's this sacred content where you've got, the sacred song and then like the sacred idea where you're trying to tell the public about these sacred kind of heady things that they're not very tangible. You can't quite hold on to them, but they need to be presented somehow. And so it's just taken me up till now. I mean, I'm almost 40. And so now at this point, I feel like I've got a grip on a process to help people work out how they really want to be presented in a commercial world, because we're dynamic human beings that have so much to offer. But when the New York Times calls, or when whatever media calls, they're going to show just a sliver of your soul, and it takes some mindset adjustments to figure out, what sliver of my soul do I want them to see, and how can I really lean into my calling without sacrificing who I am, but also pay the bills and all that.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question, but
yeah, I'm sure that there's a lot of young female artists that can totally identify with that. And like you said, being young, how do you navigate that and figure that all out? Yeah, and as a male artist, I always thought it was more to the fact of that they wanted to put you in a lane, in a niche, like, oh, you're gonna be an alternative rocker dude, so you have to dress like this and say these things. So yeah, there was no room that's what I felt frustrating about the music industry is there was no room to maybe I want to write a country song, maybe I want to write a punk rock song or a reggae song, and there was I think especially when I was coming up that was kind of the tail end of the radio. Like, oh, you got to get big on radio, and we don't hear a hit single. I don't know how many times I heard that. So
Yeah, you've been through it too. It's
yep.
it's hard being judged by other people when it's so personal.
Yeah, exactly. Brand therapy, which is your Skool group, helps people build a brand based on who they are and what they care about. How do you get entrepreneurs to tap into the heart of their own story, especially if they think their background isn't all that special? And I can definitely identify with not feeling special.
Everybody's special. Everybody has a story, but not everybody has a tragic story.
Right.
So some people think that they're not interesting unless they've gone through something tragic, which is not the case. But it's tough when you're trying to build a business and you're the face of it and you're the engine. You know, it's your neck on the line if things don't work out. So I have a process of interviewing people that I think it gets close to kind of, you got to get to know people to a certain degree before you can build anything for them. Because like I said, if you build something for somebody, or if I try to build something based off of what I think other people want, but it's not what I really want, you end up sabotaging it. So there has to be like an about face, like an honest, not ugly cry, but you got to get honest of like, okay, what do you want out of life?
Yeah.
And if you're not able to articulate it, then I feel like anything you build it's not really going to work, because you're always going to be like, but this isn't quite it, and it's like this doesn't feel right, and so you don't move forward. Yeah. So I try to ask people, my clients, the kind of questions where it's a safe, kind of like truly therapeutic environment where they just feel like they can open up. And I hope I'm someone that they feel safe talking to. Maybe I'm not for everybody, but it prompting people with the right questions, I think, helps them to maybe think for the very first time about some of these things.
Yeah. What am I really doing this for? Chasing monetary gains for myself has been really difficult. It's like, oh, well, maybe I can do this because it might make me money. And that, like you said, that's going to self-sabotage, because you're gonna end up resenting the clients and resenting yourself for not being adventurous enough to figure it out what it is you really want.
Right.
Yeah. Which brings us to creative burnout. You help creatives grow their income without burning out. What are the most common traps you see entrepreneurs fall into? And do you have advice for people to protect their creative energy while they're building a brand or business?
Well, I'll tell you a story of why I got really serious about the problem of burnout. I had a individual who was a rock star in my eyes, and I was basically volunteering branding services because I really liked the movement, the health freedom movement. And I probably put in like $45,000 worth of free labor to boost this person. And I built a custom digital product that was a high ticket offer. It was $1,000. And I put a lot of thought, I put a lot of effort into packaging it, making it available to purchase. Mm-hmm. And then I was really kind of shocked and horrified when this individual went on a stage and there was 4,000 people in the audience, and there was literally probably like 1 million people watching online. I'm not even exaggerating. It was a huge event. Mm-hmm. And this person drew attention not to the $1,000 high ticket offer that was built that I had poured myself into, but a free digital product that was not even built. They were like, "Oh, we're going to build this and it'll be free." And my heart sank, and it was such a lost opportunity. And this person complains about, were complaining about money, which is why I like volunteered my services. And so they're like, they're struggling to pay the bills. And then when they do get attention, they've got some kind of like, if I don't know if it's a lack of education or they didn't value me because I wasn't charging, but it was not the right posture. And so they probably, if I were to estimate, they missed out on at least $80,000 that day, at least. And it probably could have been $300,000 or more, which would have paid for, that's a salary for somebody for the year.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a massive, massive mistake. And I realized, like, okay, one of the reasons why people in my movement that I care so much about are burning out is because they don't know anything about offers and how to maximize attention and digital marketing. They either don't know about these things or they've got some deeper problems. So I try to educate people.
There's a fine line between sounding salesy and, promoting a good product.
Right. Oh my gosh. Salesy. So I try to teach people just how to like create the right invitation.
Yeah.
Like just invite people into something that you think is cool.
Right. Because if you believe in it, how much easier is it for you to sell it and find the right people that could use your help, for sure. Let's get back into a music question. The music biz. How has that shaped the way you think about helping people use their voice to build a following and make a living online?
I wish I could say that I was successful in the music business, but I have thought about it for decades. And why do we love music so much? And I truly have a love-hate relationship with it. And I go to these concerts now. You do too.
I do too. Yeah.
And I think about what I could have done, and I look and I study people who were my peers, truly. Like I had dinner with them, I hung out with them, and now they're world famous. And I study them and I'm like, what choices did they make? And why did their personal brand take off? And definitely one of the things is feeling safe with visibility. So being comfortable being seen is like probably one of the most massive things that people don't talk about enough. Mm-hmm. Yes, you need skill, but when things are just beautiful, like you don't have to sell it. Like if something, it just resonates, and that's the thing about music. And you know the difference between a song that just hits and songs that don't. And when there's a song and it just hits and you're just like, oh my gosh, that vibrato, or like, oh, that drum part, again, you want to listen to it over and over and over again. Like, you don't have to sell it. People share it for you. It just spreads and it brings people together, and it's community building and it's unifying. And all you have to do is make sure but there's things to set up to prepare for that attention for when you do write a song that hits and it just gets shared.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to already know the game quite well in order to set yourself up for success, for sure.
Yeah.
And I definitely identify with that. Like just playing a song for people and their eyes light up. That's the best feeling ever. And then they say, oh, like your close friends are like, oh, that could be a hit. That could be a hit. I love that song.
Yeah.
That's a pretty amazing feeling. So you have a book. It's called Beauty First Method.
Mhm.
It's all about helping people get their value across fast. Oh, there it is. Nice, beautiful cover. Can you give us a breakdown of the terms, kind of the outline, and do you have a story where this approach totally changed things for a client?
Yeah. So, people they think that the title means that I'm talking about just like, oh, be like a pretty face and then everything's going to work out for you.
Yep.
It's much deeper than that. So I'm a convert to Catholicism. And I grew up in one of the most beautiful cities in the world, which is San Francisco. And so the architecture, the natural landscape of San Francisco, I was actually raised in Cupertino, so where, Steve Jobs, he made computers beautiful for the first time when nobody else was doing it. So there's like it's a product, and there's natural beauty, there's architectural beauty, there's packaging beauty, there's like when we design things so that when we design anything, we should design it so that it's beautiful, because people don't want ugly things.
No.
They just don't. And when you're trying to build a business, the point is make it beautiful, because nobody wants to engage with ugly things. And the Catholics do this better than anybody. You have cathedrals and stuff, and like nobody's gonna come inside your church long enough to hear the gospel if it's fugly.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to hang out there. They're gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah. So
that's the point. And I have, for speakers and for people who, it's like what's it called? An onomatopoeia? Not an onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia, yeah, I think that's.
Or when I should memorize this, but so beauty, so BEAUTY, so the B stands for beauty, the E stands for edifying and entertaining, the A stands for affirming and aspirational, the U stands for useful, the T stands for trustworthy, and the Y stands for yours, like it's your story. So that's beauty. So beauty, when you're making your speeches, building your business, and developing your personal brand, like when you're introducing yourself to the world, you have to be truthful. It's got to be your story, not somebody else's. You got to tell the truth. You have to, make yourself useful, and then share affirming and aspiring stories and educate people. And then for the first, so it's beauty first, I have another tag, which is these are the things you don't want. So first is all the negative traits that you want to avoid. So F is for false. Don't lie to people. Mm-hmm. That's really bad for your personal brand. I is irritating. R is ranting. S is sloppy. And T is timing, bad timing specifically. So you want to avoid being false, irritating, ranting, sloppy, and having bad timing. And these are just kind of cues for us to think about. And they're things that I couldn't stop thinking about when I was dealing a lot with speakers. I organized conferences too. Mm-hmm. And so I would get speakers, and I always go after the speakers I want first, but inevitably there would be speakers who they want to be chosen for the conference. And then there'd be people that I would choose to include in the conference, and I just had a really bad experience with them. So this book is kind of like written from a gatekeeper's perspective, a podcast host, a conference organizer. So I put that hat on, and I explain, this is what I'm looking for when I invite someone on to my conference or to my podcast. And these are the things that if you exhibit these negative behaviors, then I'm probably never going to invite you again.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's kind of where it starts. And then there's a lot of aesthetic points that I try to make in the book. And I definitely make points for people who aren't, supermodel, gorgeous females who are 23. There's examples of, I use Winston Churchill as an example in one case. And there's lots of beautiful things that you can, like beautiful touch points where you can captivate the attention of your audience and the person that you're trying to be in relationship with. And most of the beautiful touch points that you have the power to create has nothing to do with your sex appeal. Nothing. They're invitations, they're environments, they're sounds, they're messages, they're things you say that make people want to live another day and give them the hope to just keep going in this like horrible life that we're all having to suffer through. Those kinds of things. I'll stop.
Nice.
I'm at the ranting part now, so you're probably getting irritated.
I was just going to add that like there's beauty and functionality, and that's a big permaculture trait. One of my interests is homesteading and permaculture, and it's like you should design your place to not only be beautiful aesthetically, but also functional. Like you don't want the garden way out in the back 40, because that's going to end up being a chore. You're going to maybe resent taking those long walks out to the garden. I mean, it might be novel on a beautiful summer day, but to do it a couple times a day, every day. So yeah, I think there's beauty and functionality as well. Okay.
Absolutely.
So what's something most folks don't think about when they're trying to build an online presence that not only attracts their kinds of clients, but also helps create a sense of community and trust?
Yeah. Hands down, consistency. I think people, they get excited about something and they get shiny object syndrome and they're like, oh, I want to try that style. And oh, that's a cool filter. I'm going to use that. And, some new app is released and they're like, I'm going to try this cool look like a cartoon. I'm going to be a cartoon for the week. And people need to be able to rely on you, and visual cues can help present you as someone that they can rely on. And I could work on this myself as I'm developing what my like consistent look is, and if I had more money I would do this, and sometimes you work your way up to kind of your ideal, but in the meantime being just all over the place, you lose trust. It's so I sometimes finding your color and having like a continual color thread through everything, finding a format that works for you and just sticking to that format, even though there's other people that have super cool formats that you're like, oh, I'm tempted to try that because it might go viral. You're risking trust the more you experiment.
Yeah, that's something you've helped me with a lot, is taking consistency into consideration. And like I don't like brands on my shirts, and so I like plain, but you can still be plain and look great. And I think subconsciously people, they might not say that they take that into account, but definitely it's part of the human psychology. When you see something well put together, you appreciate it more, for sure.
Yeah, and I think the people who can get away with the most playfulness are like artists themselves, who are supposed to, like, the way that we rely on them to innovate in aesthetics.
Right, that's their place in society. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I'm sure a lot of those artists have great teams behind them that take care of all those consistency and focused details, right? For sure.
Right, but yeah, and there still has to be consistency in, like, where can I buy, and the communication, and there's their iterations and their innovations. There's a consistency in production. Like Vogue, they are very innovative in fashion, but every month they're putting out a publication, and you can rely on them. You can rely on them to innovate.
Yeah, for sure. So there's a term that is relatively new to me, infopreneurship. What does infopreneurship mean to you? Because that might be a new term for some people. Everybody's heard of entrepreneurship, but what's this infopreneurship? And second to that, what infopreneurship shifts are you excited about lately, and how do you stay on top of what's happening for yourself, your clients, and audience?
Great question. So I guess I didn't have a prepared definition for that. Maybe I should have, because I talk about it enough. But really, we're seeing kind of education transforming, and there's a lot of wokeness at universities, and there's like people are taking their kids out of public school because they don't believe in those institutions, and we're having to re-educate ourselves and use our instincts to figure out who's trustworthy, like who has actual life-giving information that will actually help me live a better life, because gender studies wasn't actually a good use of my money and my time. And so you have these kind of freelance teachers who are going pro, getting out of the system and trying to teach people hard lessons that they've learned. And there's a huge market for that. So it's, in some ways, it's kind of like the music industry, where you've got all these people writing songs, like you've got all these people teaching classes, and then as culture shifts, there's like this ebb and flow of demand for that kind of songwriter or that kind of teacher, because the problem they're solving, or like the song that they wrote, it just hits for our moment in time. Like Oliver Anthony, he had that big hit song, and it was like that moment in time. It just spoke to everybody. And then you have these teachers like Alex Hormozy, who invested in Skool. He's these guys, they have assessed the landscape of the tools we have available, like what kind of software has been developed, and what are our needs as humans for connection and for support. And they alchemized it into this Skool as a platform. And they've made it really pretty easy to make money on that. And then there's Kajabi. There's people make money on YouTube teaching things. People make money with Teachable, Samcart. There's all these things. So if you have a problem you can solve for people, or support that you can give as they work through life's problems, there's this movement of people like ditching university and going straight to the source.
So if somebody's trying to improve their digital presence, like maybe they feel like, oh, my Facebook page needs some work, or stuff from the past that you've taken pictures of whatever, or interests that you're not into anymore. If they feel like their online identity no longer reflects who they are today, what can you say to that?
That's common. I think Facebook trained us to just upload photos and share, like overshare.
Yeah, totally.
And it's like every tragedy that we've ever experienced is poured out on Facebook. And then when you realize, like, oh, I need to present in a professional way, and people are like, they're judging me to see if they want to work with me, then you realize, oh my gosh, I have 10 years of oversharing that I have to clean up, and it's kind of a task. So cleaning, there's a need we all have to be seen in our full humanity. And some of us are like we use social media to share with our family or to try to date or to try to, you know, and we want to share photos and stuff that have nothing to do with our professional lives. So I think people need those spaces, but carve out separate spaces. So carve out like a Facebook for your grandma, and, you know, and then carve out your Tinder profile for your dating, and that'll be that thing. But compartmentalize them, and then when you show up on your professional accounts, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on YouTube, on those other platforms, have a consistent visual identity that is professional, the way that you feel proud to be seen, so that you won't sabotage it.
Mm-hmm.
And a mix of a mix of friendly and who you are and how you want to be seen, or maybe you're dangerous and you need to be dangerous, and that's like the thing. But make it consistent, and then have rules for yourself as to what you post, and it needs to be related to how you serve and help people, and what your creative output is, what your service is, what your product is, and just realize that a good life does have healthy boundaries, and that includes what we share publicly.
So you've helped me a lot figure out who it is that I actually want to serve. So what are the biggest mistakes people make when trying to build a brand while trying to stay true to themselves as well?
Well, you started with who you want to serve. And I think that actually needs to be kind of step one before people build a business, is if you're going to do something every day for years,
Mm-hmm.
can you handle the kind of person that you're going to be interacting with every day? And this is why so many people hate their jobs. It's not usually like a job, it's the people that they have to encounter every day at their job. And thank God we have people who are willing to do some of these jobs, because, you know, like, what psych nurse really wants to engage with psychotic murderers? And, you know, they don't really want. So, but maybe you're the type of person who can handle that.
Yeah.
And it's like a calling.
Right.
So, you know, like security guards, bouncers, like maybe they don't want to handle drunk guys all the time who are fighting each other, but like God designed them in this way where they're like massive and they can handle it.
Right.
And thank you, God, for that. Those people exist.
Yeah, totally.
So what problem can you solve for people, and you can see yourself actually like being rewarded? There's some type of spiritual reward that you get from serving that kind of person. You can handle them. It's work, but it's not a problem. That you're rewarded by it. Your confidence is boosted by serving that kind of person. So, and that's gonna be different for everybody.
Yep.
But once you decide that, then it narrows it down what kind of business you should build a lot faster.
Yes. Yeah. So for somebody who's maybe not feeling too keen on having that visibility and the visibility it takes to build a personal brand, someone who might feel overwhelmed by the internet but knows they need to use it to thrive, where should they start?
I've been doing this process myself. So I downloaded an app called InnerTune. And then we have a friend who's a hypnotist, you and I, and I interviewed him for my podcast, and I just became really sold on the idea that reprogramming your subconscious is, you got to do it in order to step into an identity where you take the type of actions required to step into a successful outcome that you want. So InnerTune is an app. It's the affordable place to start for kind of do-it-yourself hypnosis. And you get into a relaxed place. It has like you type in kind of what your goals are. Maybe it's well, for in this case, it would be getting comfortable with visibility. So, and it's got like a ChatGPT API, so it produces like 20 or 30 positive statements that you try to relax, and then it plays, and so your brain receives these positive statements that reorient you to be the type of person who believes that it's safe to be visible. So maybe I feel like if I'm too successful on YouTube, people are gonna think all I care about is money. Or if I have too much money, people are going to try to steal it from me, or I'm not going to know who my real friends are, or things like that. And so you got to do the work to figuring out, like, why don't I feel safe executing on this behavior?
Mm-hmm.
And you can work on that. And maybe you have to actually do something like scrub the internet of where you live so that you don't get doxxed. Or maybe you have to, you need new friends. I don't know. But in order to get the things that you want, there's beliefs that impact the choices you make and the behaviors that you take action on that produce those kinds of results.
Yeah. Yeah. So your calling, there's going to be parts that are going to be hard and you don't feel like you're prepared for, but in order to serve your calling, you have to get real with those. So as a podcast host and former conference lineup curator, what qualities of preparation make someone irresistible for your stage? And we touched on this briefly in other question, but what's like you were saying, someone's not well put together, or they might have something that you think is important, but they're just not ready for the stage. Or so what's something that's what are some things that can make you a better candidate, let's say?
Right. Well, I'm actually producing a new conference this fall. So I'm in the moment as we speak as to selecting who gets an email or not. And I always anchor my conferences with someone who just has a huge following. Because for business reasons, it's in my best interest to try to leverage the attention they're already getting for my project. So it's easier for you to get invited as a speaker if you've got really great social proof, big numbers on your social media following in whatever platform. Most people don't have that. Mm-hmm. So I already got my big fish and I'm very happy. And so now I'm looking for people who, basically are the openers. So imagine you're a music concert organizer. You want to get the Madonna, you want to get the Lana Del Rey, you want to get the Rolling Stones, but you have this opportunity, which is a cool opportunity to introduce the world to a new artist that you believe in.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm getting to pick those people right now. And I have one woman who I was immediately invited. Once I got my big fish, I went to her. And what I love about her is she has a really unique story. She used to be she's a retired anesthesiologist, and she got roped into an organ transplant procedure. And she realized that she was witnessing a murder. They killed the man to take his organs, and they called it brain death. And it just totally, she realized this is a completely corrupt system. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't have almost any followers, but she's taking herself seriously, and she has a blog where she writes these articles. She's very passionate about it. So you can subscribe to her newsletter. She has a book. So she's taking herself seriously. She knows that her story is important. She wrote a book.
Yeah.
She's got her headshots. Like she's doing all the right things, and she's gonna take off because nobody else has a story like hers. And I guess if you're not taking yourself seriously and you think that you can just like have a good story, not tell anybody about it, not put yourself in the right room, and not, do your makeup and hair and try to look good in preparation for when the guy asks you out, like you're delusional. Like, you have to get out of bed, get dressed up, and take yourself seriously and present yourself to the world. And eventually, it always takes longer than you think.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, it doesn't. But if it's a good story, and then maybe work on what the story is. Like, if you saw something horrible, but you haven't crafted the story of it, like all podcasts, all interviews, they might give you the microphone for 20 minutes. So get yourself a 20-minute story that's like well crafted, and your hooks, and you know how, just like an actor, like makes it so compelling. And then I've had media opportunities where I was on TV for 2 minutes. Well, frick, I have to get my 2-minute version of my story down packed, which is hard. So get your 2-minute story down packed, and then if you're good on the first time they give you a chance, well, they'll keep calling you back,
right?
Because you're reliable, you're a good storyteller. But yeah, and try to get yourself recorded. Speaker curators aren't comfortable inviting you to their show if they haven't viewed a video or listened to a recording of you tell the story, whatever it is. So get yourself recorded pitching yourself.
Right. Yeah. Let them see that you feel natural on Zoom or on a podcast or whatever, and that you're not totally ums and ahs and all that, and you have some fluency to your story. Yeah. So I just had one more question, but it's kind of related to that. So yeah, is there anything else to standing out in a crowded field? Like, I'm going on this journey of having a peer support group for men, and all of a sudden my Facebook is flooded with men's groups and therapy things and therapy apps. There's a bunch of new therapy apps, and it's like, oh man, do I have to like join all these to see what I can do differently? Like, is there anything else that you can share with us on how to stand out?
Well, I just want to say, I wanted to help you in whatever capacity I could, because I do believe that men have the world on their shoulders, and as a woman, I wanted to support a men's group because we need each other, and in order for me to be well, I need men to be well. And I've had my first marriage was a disaster. I'm on my second marriage, but we're separated right now, and there's issues. But I haven't had the best luck in my relationships, but I know that it's when men become really healthy and they're like operating off of good foundational philosophies, and they're in good health, and they don't have all their own traumas. Like, when men rise to all be confident and competent and connected and healthy, and when the way that they're relating to women is good, like, the world will be such a more amazing place. And I believe that you have a role in helping that for at least a certain number of people. You're not God. You're not going to heal all of humanity's men, but there's a number of men in the hundreds or thousands that you definitely have the capacity to help. And in terms of standing out, and just like what you're talking about is that emotional kind of like everybody's doing this. Why should I?
Yes.
And going back to music, it's like, why should I write a song? There's so many songs out there. What's the point?
Mm-hmm.
And the point is that person right in front of you needs it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the person, like you, and you need it. And I write songs because it's therapeutic for me, and I perform them for whatever coffee shop or concert venue because those people deserve the dignity of being sung to. And so for your men's group, like, just be a racehorse with the blinders on. Just go like this. Don't worry about what the other horses are doing. Like, you've got your own race, and it's you and the rider, or maybe you're the rider and you've got a horse. I don't know which one you want to be in, but it's like you've got this journey ahead of you, and the point of it is you do what's best for you and the men right in front of you. And, Jesus healed one person at a time.
Right. Yep.
And sometimes he spoke, like the Beatitudes and the Sermon on the Mount. Like, sometimes there's a lot of people in there, but when you focus on the one person, it changes the world.
Yeah. Being Christ-like and following the middle path has been huge for me inwardly. I really feel like I've done some work on myself as a single dad. So yeah, like, I'm not for everyone. But I think those guys that resonate with me, and the ladies that are still supportive of me in my network, I think we can build something awesome.
Men hold up the whole world. You guys deserve support, and getting to a place where you are thriving is going to, the ripple effects of that. I didn't grow up with like my dad, and I really, for River, for all the men whose lives you touch in the Thunder and Steam group, I would be so rewarded if I knew I had a small part in helping them be better dads, be more present, being able to afford vacations where everybody's like has good memories and is connected.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to support your community in whatever way I can. I know you guys need your privacy because it's a men's group, but if anybody decides they could use my help, I've got my brand therapy school group. It's skool.com/Alana, ALANA. My book's available on Amazon.
Okay.
And my podcast, they can just go to speaker.salon, and that's where all my like other stuff is. My podcast, my conferences, all that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being my guest today, Alana.
Rain down tonight, thunder and steam. Rain down tonight, thunder and steam.